Today I have a very wonderful guest, I think. It's a psychologist by the name of Dr. Matteo Muti, and I want to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you.
And I'm Jodie.
Hi, Jodie. Hi.
I picked you to be on the show because I wanted to talk about relationships and psychology because I know you a bit and like the way your head goes. It's a little bit different. But I picked relationships because we're all in some kind of relationship, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's our life. It's in relationship to people, to things, to activities, to everything in our life is an interaction.
That's true. Yeah. So I think what I'll start with, since I'm a woman and you're a man, relationships between men and women. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. What I've seen is you get into a relationship, everything, if it's starting to, you have that feeling towards each other, the charismatic look and everything. Everything's great, right?
Well, yeah, that's the sexual part of it.
That's the sexual.
That's very, very strong. And, the Greeks would call that eros. It's that love in us that's just instinctual.
And then it's wonderful for months and months.
Absolutely. It's voltage.
But what happens after years, or you see couples that all of a sudden they start not doing things together. They start bickering. Something happens. And why? I mean, I have never known anyone that has not happened to.
Well, I think what happens is that people begin to grow apart from each other because there's a problem in being able to communicate without judgment with the other person. So you begin to back away because you're judged. People, for some reason, they have to make a judgment. They just can't listen. They can't just be the lake. Or they just can't be the sky. Something that you're relating to. You don't need anybody to judge you. And that's what creates a block. That's an attack. When you're judged and you're not being asked to be judged, it's an attack.
So what do we do about that? How do we communicate with someone without feeling that?
Well, I think that we have to teach each other how to work this. There is a way to do things to let the other person know how they're inhibiting you, how they're blocking you. No one wants to be a hindrance to anybody, I don't think. I mean, if you're going to hinder me, then we're going to say goodbye.
But people become defensive. Something bothers you and you say it to the person, I don't want to hear it, or I'm not like that. Why are you doing that? You're picking on me. You know what I'm saying? How do you handle that?
Well, that's called deflection. You're being deflected. In other words, you're saying something, but it's being slammed at you.
So what you're probably trying to say is you have to learn how to say it.
Yes.
I see. So what people have to do is just learn how to communicate in a nice way.
Well, I think it's all about love. You see, now let's look at what's creating the problem, and I see it as it has to do with love. If you want to feel love, you have to express it to another person, because it's an action. It's a way of being. It's just not words, but it's just a way of being. And so if we use that as a criteria, or as a way to judge ourselves, if we're able to love fully, then we have an open relationship.
Is that hard to do?
It's a challenge. It's not that it's hard to do. It's a great challenge. I think that's why conjoint therapy is so good for people, because a third person could sit there and be able to teach you how to get beyond these barriers.
So it's probably good before you make a commitment to someone, like a marriage, to go into the therapy first.
Well, no, because you can't really get any insurance. Even if you went into therapy, it's if you have some doubts, I think therapy's a wonderful way.
But doesn't everybody have doubts?
Well, yeah, if probably, yeah.
You know.
Everyone has. I mean, how can you really know?
You don't know. You don't know.
It's
You
a
don't.
gamble, you know. It's a risk. So you take the risk, and
And obviously, when you take that risk, it doesn't always work because look at the divorce rate.
yes, yes. Well, that's the other problem. Is the divorce rate is high because people are being defensive with each other, so their ability to love becomes less. There's less love. There's all of a sudden more resentment.
What would you say? Could you pick maybe 3 things that would cause a bad relationship? What happens to make it go downhill?
I think that aside from chemicals, because you know we have to include chemicals as breaking people up, and the second one would be always fighting with one another is really a sign of pathology. It's a disease. Fighting all the time. There's so much anxiety in these people that they're not able to work through. They're just fighting, and they think by fighting they're getting a release, but it's a destructive one.
So you should never fight?
I think that fighting is, again, it's like you can't ever use never. I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, we're going to fight.
Yeah.
And it's an impulse, it's an urge, or I don't know where it comes from. It comes from probably what Freud called the id. Id is this energy inside of us that knows no boundaries. It's just as powerful as a locomotive.
Well, you know, you have that feeling inside where you're so angry. I've got to tell him or her this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle that. I mean, you just want to go.
Well,
you go in a rage.
Well, I think the important part is, and this is something that I think works very well, is that when someone is angry, a fight takes 2 people. If one person refuses to fight and is not going to get involved in it, the other person will melt down. Because what he's enraged about is he's not being heard, I think. I think he's not being heard, and I really believe in the innocence of people, because people are not conscious of what they're doing. They're just doing things. They're just taking their, best guess. Sometimes it's wonderful and great. Maybe more times it's great. And you're spoiled, and then all of a sudden someone confronts you and you say, oh, ouch, you get hurt. So, yes, I have teeth. There is an animal in me that's selfish and self-centered and vain.
Well, I guess we all want our way a lot, don't we?
Well, yeah, but then on the other hand, I like to also be able to share and say, it's your turn. We're going to talk about it. We're going to, it's going to be a plan for us.